The gala was glimmering, crystal chandeliers, champagne flowing, and the city's elite gathered under one glittering roof. She didn't belong here. One wrong dress, one misplaced step, and everyone would notice. But she wasn't here for attention, she was here to deliver a cake. Simple. Easy. Until he walked in. The room seemed to shift when he appeared. Black suit, sharp jawline, eyes like dark storm clouds. Powerful. Dangerous. Every head turned, but his gaze found her. A fleeting smile tugged at his lips as if he already knew she was trouble, or maybe he already claimed her without words. She tried to keep moving, trying not to meet those eyes, but the pull was magnetic. Her steps faltered. He leaned casually against a marble pillar, observing her like a predator studying prey, but with an intensity that made her pulse race. Careful, he murmured, low and smooth, just loud enough for her to hear. His voice sent shivers down her spine. You're in my territory. She froze, cake in hand. The room buzzed around them, yet it felt like they were the only two people alive. She couldn't speak. She barely breathed. A waiter brushed past, spilling champagne at his feet. The Mafia King's eyes didn't flinch from hers. Instead, he smirked, just a twitch at the corner of his mouth, dangerous and teasing at the same time. Her heart hammered. Who was this man who could make her feel exposed with a glance? She tried to focus on the cake. Focus on the mission. But every instinct told her, she was already entangled in something far bigger than herself. Then, as quickly as he appeared, he was gone, vanishing into the crowd like a shadow, leaving a trail of heat and tension in his wake. She shook, realizing that nothing in her life would ever be the same. She didn't know his name, but she already knew one thing. The Mafia King had claimed her, with nothing but a look. The next morning she thought it had been a dream. But the black luxury car parked outside her apartment told her otherwise. Its tinted windows hid the man inside, but she didn't need to see his face to know. Her phone buzzed with a message she hadn't expected. You belong to me. Don't run. Her fingers trembled as she reread it. What did that mean? Her heart raced, half terrified, half something else she couldn't name. Hours later, at work, subtle signs followed her. A stranger in a tailored suit lingered at the cafe entrance. When she looked up, his eyes were impossibly familiar. Her stomach dropped. The Mafia King had found her. That evening, a delivery arrived. A small box, no note. Inside, a delicate gold necklace engraved with her initials. Fear prickled her skin. Was this a gift, or a warning? And then, at the corner of the street as she left for home, he was there. Leaning against a sleek black car, hands in pockets, exuding the kind of confidence that made people step aside. When his gaze met hers, her breath caught. You shouldn't hide, he said softly, stepping closer, his presence commanding, intoxicating. I'll find you anyway. Her instinct screamed to run, but her legs refused. Every instinct, every warning whispered that she was in danger, yet another part of her thrilled at being seen like this. You don't know me, she whispered, though her voice was unsteady. I don't need to, he replied, a dangerous smirk curving his lips. I can see everything I need to know in your eyes. You're mine. The words sank into her, heavy and impossible to ignore. She wanted to protest, wanted to scream, wanted to flee, but her body betrayed her. She was already caught, already claimed, and the pull toward him was undeniable. The Mafia King didn't touch her, didn't need to. His presence, his gaze, his whispered ownership was enough to leave her trembling. Tonight, she realized, nothing in her life would ever feel normal again. And deep down she didn't want it to. The next few days were a blur. Everywhere she went, she felt his presence, always just out of sight but never far. The cafe, the grocery store, even her quiet evening walks. He was there, watching, waiting, claiming her without a word. Her heart raced whenever she thought of him. The Mafia King was dangerous. Everyone in the city whispered his name with a mix of fear and respect. And yet, despite knowing this, she couldn't stop thinking about him. She tried to resist. She told herself she couldn't get involved with a man like him. A man whose world was painted in power, violence, and secrets she couldn't even begin to understand. But then he appeared again. Late one night, leaning against her apartment door, his shadow stretching long across the floor. His eyes, those impossible dark eyes, locked onto hers. You can't hide from me, he said, voice low and dangerous. You belong where I can see you. She stepped back, trembling. I can't. You already do, he interrupted, a smirk tugging at his lips. Even if you don't admit it yet, your heart knows. Fear battled desire inside her. Every instinct screamed to run, but the pull toward him was magnetic, undeniable. Her lips parted but no words came. She was caught, trapped between the terror of his world and the thrill of his attention. He moved closer, slow, deliberate. Not threatening but impossible to ignore. "You think this is just about fear," he whispered, his breath grazing her ear. "It's more than that. You feel it too. I see it. And you're mine." Her knees weakened. She shook her head, trying to deny it, but deep down she couldn't. She had never felt a pull like this, never experienced a claim so consuming. And just like that she realized, resisting him wasn't about courage. It was impossible. He was everywhere, in her mind and her heartbeat, in the very air she breathed. And no matter how terrified she was, a part of her didn't want to escape. The Mafia King had stepped into her life and she knew one thing for certain. Nothing would ever be the same. She thought she understood danger, until tonight. The streets were quiet, eerily so, as she left her apartment. A shadow moved too quickly in her peripheral vision, and her pulse spiked. She froze. Something was wrong. Before she could react, a group of men blocked her path. Faces obscured, intentions clear. Fear gripped her chest like iron. Her mind screamed, "Run, run now." But then a sleek black car roared around the corner, tires screeching. Doors slammed, and in a heartbeat the men scattered. He was there. The Mafia King. His dark eyes burned into the night, danger radiating off him in waves. He stepped forward, calm, collected, untouchable. "You shouldn't walk alone," he said, voice low, almost a growl. His presence made the air between them sizzle. She tried to steady herself, but her legs trembled. I can handle myself," she whispered, though her voice lacked conviction. He smirked, dangerous and infuriating. "Not from them. Not from anyone who threatens you. I don't like sharing what's mine." One of the men tried to step forward again, and just a subtle motion from him sent the man sprawling to the ground, groaning. She couldn't look away. Power, control, lethal elegance. When the danger passed, he turned to her. His eyes softened, just enough to make her think he could be something else entirely. "Do you understand now?" he asked. "You're mine. And I don't let go." Her heart hammered. Fear, awe, and something deeper, desire, tangled together, making her knees weak. She nodded, not trusting her voice. As he lifted her into the car, shielding her from the cold night, she realized that life with him would never be simple. She would be tested, pushed, and drawn into a world she didn't yet fully understand. But one thing was clear: he had already claimed her heart. And as terrifying as that was, a part of her didn't want to escape. The Mafia King drove into the night, leaving a trail of tension and inevitability behind. Tonight was only the beginning. She had thought danger ended that night. She was wrong. Curiosity, and a dangerous mix of fear and fascination, led her to the edges of his world. The Mafia King, ever watchful, didn't stop her. Instead, he watched her from the shadows, letting her see just enough to be drawn in, without revealing everything. One evening, she found herself in his private study, a room lined with books, rare artifacts, and the faint scent of expensive cigars. He was behind a large mahogany desk, his eyes unreadable, but something in his gaze made her heart pound. "Curiosity can be dangerous," he said softly. I want to understand you," she whispered. He leaned back, steepling his fingers. "You see only what I allow. The truth is darker than you think." Her breath caught. She had heard rumors, whispers of his power, his ruthless control over the city. But seeing it, even in fragments, was another matter. Files of accounts, ledgers with names that made her stomach turn, glimpses of alliances and enemies she didn't want to imagine. "You can leave," he said suddenly, his tone sharp now. "You can walk away and never look back." She hesitated. Why do you let me see this?" "Because," he said, standing and walking toward her, every step deliberate, "you're different. You don't run from me, and soon you'll understand the world I protect you from, and the one I'll make you part of." His fingers brushed hers as he handed her a folder. Electric. Dangerous. A spark of something neither fear nor shame could describe. She felt both terrified and drawn in, like standing on the edge of a cliff, looking down at a dark, unknown sea, knowing she had no choice but to dive. "You see enough to know I'm dangerous," he murmured, his voice a low, intoxicating growl. "But you see only a fraction of what I am. And yet, you still let me in." Her pulse raced. His eyes softened, and for a fleeting moment she saw vulnerability. A man who could destroy entire empires, yet here he was, letting her touch even a corner of his life. The pull was irresistible. She realized then, fully and irrevocably, she was caught, claimed, and already falling. The mansion was quiet, the kind of silence that pressed against her ears, making every heartbeat loud. The Mafia King led her through long, shadowed halls, each step measured, deliberate, commanding. She had seen power before, but never like this. Every movement, every glance, screamed control and ownership. Her pulse raced, not just from fear, but from a thrill she couldn't deny. He stopped at a grand window overlooking the city lights. The world below seemed distant, safe, almost unreal. He stepped closer, the space between them charged, and she felt it, the magnetic pull that had haunted her since their first encounter. "Do you understand yet?" he whispered, his voice low, velvety, dangerous. "You can't fight me. You won't want to." Her breath caught. She wanted to protest, wanted to step back, but his presence held her in place. His gaze locked onto hers, dark and intense, stripping away her defenses. Why me?" she whispered, trembling, the words barely escaping. He smiled, almost tenderly, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Because you're the only one who makes me feel like this. No games. No lies. Just you." Her knees weakened. The world felt suspended. One heartbeat, one step, and she would fall completely into him. The Mafia King's hand traced her jawline lightly, the gesture intimate yet commanding, a claim made without words. "You belong to me," he murmured, closer now, his lips barely brushing her ear. "And I won't let anyone, anything, take you from me." Fear and desire tangled together, leaving her dizzy. The line between terror and longing blurred, and she realized she didn't want to cross back over. His closeness, his whispered ownership, made her body and mind betray her. She was already his. For the first time she felt the pull of a world she couldn't understand, yet wanted to explore. A world of danger, passion, and power. And in his eyes she saw a promise, protection, obsession, and a claim that couldn't be broken. Tonight she didn't resist. Tonight she let the Mafia King take the first step in claiming not just her heart, but everything that mattered to her. She thought she was beginning to understand his world, but she was naive. The betrayal came quietly at first. A friend she had trusted whispered lies, planting seeds of doubt in her mind. "He's not what he seems, you don't belong there." Fear gripped her heart, and for a moment she questioned everything. The Mafia King, his intentions, her own feelings. Later that evening, he appeared at her apartment without warning. His eyes, dark and stormy, scanned her face like he could see straight into her soul. "You've been spoken to," he said, his voice calm but dangerous. I don't understand," she stammered. "I do," he replied, stepping closer. "And you need to know, anyone who tries to come between us pays a price." Her stomach twisted. Fear and awe collided. She realized just how dangerous his world was, not just to enemies but to anyone close to him. And she was at the center of it now. He reached for her hand, but she pulled back, still trembling. "I'm scared," she admitted. He softened slightly, brushing her hair back, but the intensity never left his gaze. "You should be," he murmured. "But fear doesn't mean weakness. It means you're alive, and it means you care. And I see you completely. No one will ever have you but me." Her doubts wavered. He wasn't just dangerous, he was protective, possessive in a way that made her pulse race and her heart ache. She realized the betrayal wasn't just external, it was also the fear inside her, the uncertainty she had about being claimed by someone so powerful, so ruthless. "I trust you," she whispered, and the words felt like a confession, a surrender. The Mafia King's smirk returned, dangerous yet tender. "Good. Because there's no going back now. You're mine, and I won't let anyone, even you, forget it." Her body trembled, but not from fear alone. She had been tested, shaken, and almost broken, but the pull to him was stronger than any doubt. Tonight, she learned that love in his world was never easy, but it was impossible to resist. The city was roaring outside, sirens in the distance, the night heavy with tension. She sat in his penthouse, staring out at the skyline, trying to calm her racing pulse. Everything felt like it was spiraling, danger, emotion, desire, all tangled into something she could no longer separate. He entered quietly, but she felt him before she heard him. His presence filled the room, powerful and consuming. She didn't turn around, not yet. She wasn't sure she was ready. "You've been quiet," he said, his voice low, steady. "A lot has happened," she whispered. He moved behind her, close enough that she felt the heat of his body against her back. His reflection glinted in the glass behind hers, sharp, intense, endlessly controlled. "You're afraid," he said. It wasn't a question. "Anyone would be," she breathed. "No," he countered, stepping closer until his hands rested on either side of her, caging her in. You're afraid because you feel something you never expected to feel. Her throat tightened. He wasn't wrong. Fear wasn't the only thing consuming her. The pull toward him was undeniable. She finally turned to face him, their eyes locking. Why me? She whispered. For the first time, something raw flickered in his gaze. Not power, not dominance, but vulnerability. Because, he said softly, I have killed for loyalty, built empires from blood, and no one has ever made me feel anything. Until you. Her breath caught. She opened her mouth to speak, but he cupped her jaw gently, not possessive this time, but almost reverent. I thought I was immune, he continued. I thought I couldn't feel love. Then you appeared, small, ordinary, beautiful in a way that shook me, and suddenly everything I built meant nothing without you in it. Her heart slammed against her ribs. You think I protect you because you're mine? He said, voice dropping. No. I protect you because losing you would destroy me. The confession hit her like a blow, terrifying and breathtaking all at once. She placed her hand over his chest, feeling the steady, powerful heartbeat beneath. I feel it too, she whispered, finally admitting it, to him and to herself. His eyes darkened, not with violence but with relief. With possession. With love. Good, he murmured against her lips. Because I'm not letting you go. Alessandro had always been iron-willed, unshakable, unreadable, the kind of man who could watch an empire burn without blinking. But not tonight. Tonight I saw him unravel. The room was quiet except for the low hum of the city outside. He stood by the window, jacket discarded, shirt sleeves rolled up, hair slightly messed, like he'd run his hands through it too many times. That alone told me something was wrong. He didn't even look at me when he spoke. Someone inside the family betrayed us. I froze. That wasn't just dangerous, it was fatal. In the Mafia, betrayal didn't end with blood. It ended with families destroyed, alliances shattered, entire empires collapsing in a single night. Who? I asked, moving slowly toward him. His voice was low, almost hoarse. My cousin. Someone I grew up with. Someone I trusted with everything. When he finally turned, the look in his eyes wasn't anger. It was hurt. Deep, raw, personal. He wasn't the Mafia King right then. He was a man who'd been wounded by someone he loved. Without thinking, I reached for him. He caught my hand halfway, gripping tightly as if grounding himself. I could tear the world apart tonight, he whispered. But all I can think about is you. Keeping you safe. My breath caught. This man ruled a criminal empire, thousands feared him. Yet here he was, shaken to the core, and I was the only thing he held on to. I stepped closer, placing my palm against his chest. You don't have to face it alone, I said softly. His hands came up, cupping my face gently, so gently it stole the air from my lungs. You don't understand, he murmured. I've lived a life where everyone wants something from me. Power, money, fear. But you. He swallowed hard. You look at me like I'm still human. For a moment, we just stood there in silence, forehead to forehead, the weight of his world pressing down between us. And then he whispered the words that changed everything. If I lose everything tomorrow, power, status, my throne, just tell me you'll still be here. My heart trembled. He wasn't asking as a king. He was asking as a man. I squeezed his hands. I'm not going anywhere. And for the first time that night, he finally breathed. The next morning, the house did not wake gently. Guards moved fast down the halls. Voices spoke in clipped Italian. Weapons were checked, phones buzzed with updates, and every face carried the same message. War had begun. Alessandro stood in the center of it all, already dressed in a dark suit, the cold fire of command in his eyes. The Mafia King was back. But when he looked at me, that fire softened. He crossed the room in long, determined strides and took my chin gently between his fingers. You stay close to Marco and the guards. No one touches you. No one comes near you. I nodded, but he saw the worry in my eyes anyway. He always did. He exhaled. This is the price of betrayal. The family will expect blood. I reached for his hand. Just come back. His jaw tightened. For you I will. He didn't kiss me, not here, not in front of his men. But the look he gave was a promise loud enough to shake walls. Then he turned, and the king walked out. The day dragged like a storm cloud that refused to burst. I waited in a room full of guards, unable to think of anything except the sound of that door closing behind him. Hours later, Marco's phone rang. The room fell silent. His eyes flicked to me. They're returning. My heart hammered. When the cars finally pulled in, I rushed outside, ignoring shouts behind me. Alessandro stepped out of the lead car, suit stained with dust, hair tousled, eyes sharp and alive. The relief that hit me nearly brought me to my knees. He saw me, really saw me, and despite the guards, despite the world watching, he reached out and pulled me into his chest. "It's done," he murmured into my hair. "We took everything back." I leaned back to look at him. "Are you hurt?" A slow, tired smile ghosted on his lips. "No. Just tired of living in a world where trust breaks like glass." I slid my hand along his jaw. "Then build a new world." He caught my wrist, holding it against his heart. "I am," he said softly, "with you." And in that moment, king, killer, legend or not, he was mine.